Have you ever wondered what makes a person truly unforgettable? What transforms an individual into a global icon, a symbol of hope and resilience for millions? Today, we're diving into the life of a man who did just that. Nelson Mandela. His story isn't just a chapter in a history book. It's a powerful lesson in courage, forgiveness, and the relentless pursuit of justice. So, grab a seat, and let's explore why, decades after he first rose to prominence, the name Nelson Mandela still resonates with such incredible power. Born Rolihlahla Mandela in a small South African village in 1918, his name prophetically meant pulling the branch of a tree, or more colloquially, troublemaker. And in the best way possible, he lived up to that name by challenging a system of profound injustice. His early life was steeped in the traditions of the Dimbu people, where he was groomed for a leadership role. But the world outside his village was rapidly changing, and the shadow of racial segregation was growing longer and darker. After moving to Johannesburg, Mandela experienced the harsh realities of apartheid firsthand. This was a brutal system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government. Black South Africans were denied basic rights, including the right to vote, to own land in most areas, and even to choose where they lived and worked. It was a system designed to crush the human spirit. But for Mandela, it ignited a fire. He became a lawyer, co-founding South Africa's first black law firm with his partner, Oliver Tambo. They provided affordable or free legal counsel to black South Africans who were often left defenseless against the apartheid regime. This was his first formal battleground, using the law itself to fight a system that had twisted it into a weapon of oppression. But Mandela soon realized that legal challenges alone were not enough. The system was too entrenched, too violent. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC, and became a key figure in their youth league, pushing for more radical, non-violent forms of protest like civil disobedience, strikes, and boycotts. He was a charismatic organizer, a powerful speaker, and his influence grew rapidly. The government saw him as a threat. The 1960 Sharpeville massacre, where police opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing 69 people, was a turning point. It became clear to Mandela and the ANC that non-violent protest was being met with lethal force. This led to one of the most controversial and difficult decisions of his life: the formation of Umkhonto we, or Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC. Mandela argued that this was a last resort, a response to the state's own violence. Their campaign focused on strategic sabotage, targeting infrastructure like power plants and transportation links, with the stated policy of avoiding loss of life. But this act branded him a terrorist in the eyes of the South African government and many Western nations. In 1962, his fight for freedom came to an abrupt halt. Mandela was arrested, and after the famous Rivonia trial, he and his comrades were sentenced to life in prison. In his powerful statement from the dock, which echoed around the world, he declared, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." He was sent to the notorious Robben Island, a barren rock in the middle of the cold Atlantic. Here, he would spend the next 18 of his 27 years in prison. Conditions were brutal. Prisoners were forced to do hard labor in a lime quarry, their eyes permanently damaged by the glare. Communication with the outside world was almost non-existent. The regime's goal was simple: to break him, to make the world forget Nelson Mandela. But they failed. In fact, they achieved the exact opposite. Prison didn't silence Mandela. It amplified his voice. He became a symbol of the anti-apartheid struggle, a living martyr. From his tiny cell, he continued to lead, to educate, and to inspire his fellow prisoners. He learned Afrikaans, the language of his oppressors, so he could understand them better and, eventually, negotiate with them. The phrase, "Free Nelson Mandela," became a global rallying cry, echoing in protests, concerts, and university campuses from London to New York to Sydney. His imprisonment personified the injustice of the entire apartheid system. As international pressure mounted through economic sanctions, cultural boycotts, and relentless diplomatic pressure, the South African government found itself increasingly isolated. By the late 1980s, They knew the system was unsustainable. Secret talks began with the man they had locked away for decades. And then, on February 11th, 1990, the world watched, holding its breath. Nelson Mandela, now a gray-haired man of 71, walked out of Victor Verster prison, hand in hand with his wife Winnie, his fist raised in a sign of victory. He was free, but his work was far from over. The country was a tinderbox, on the brink of civil war. Decades of anger, pain, and resentment threatened to explode. This is where Mandela's true greatness shines brightest. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose reconciliation. He understood that the future of South Africa depended not on punishing the past, but on building a shared future. He negotiated with President F.W. de Klerk, the very man who represented the regime that had imprisoned him, to dismantle apartheid and establish a multiracial democracy. For this incredible feat, they were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. In 1994, South Africa held its first-ever democratic election, where every citizen, regardless of race, could vote. The images of long, snaking lines of people waiting patiently for hours to cast their first ballot are some of the most moving of the 20th century. Nelson Mandela was overwhelmingly elected as the first black president of a free South Africa. As president, his masterstroke was using the 1995 Rugby World Cup, a sport beloved by white Afrikaners, as a tool for national unity. He famously walked onto the field for the final match wearing the Springbok jersey, the team's captain's number on his back, and presented the trophy to the victorious South African team. In that one moment, he showed the world that a new rainbow nation was possible, a nation built on forgiveness and mutual respect. After serving one term as president, Mandela stepped down, promoting a culture of democratic transition rather than clinging to power. He dedicated the rest of his life to philanthropy and continuing his work for peace and social justice through the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So, why is Nelson Mandela so famous? It's not just because he fought against an unjust system. It's not just because he endured 27 years in prison. It's because he emerged from that unimaginable hardship, not with bitterness and a desire for revenge, but with a profound sense of wisdom, forgiveness, and an unwavering belief in the good of humanity. He taught us that freedom is not just about breaking your own chains, but about living in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. His life is a testament to the idea that one person's courage and moral conviction can, quite literally, change the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through an incredible life. If you found this story as inspiring as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the people and events that have shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what you find most remarkable about Mandela's story. Until next time, stay curious.